Hello, this is a presentation on cavitation and cold fusion. Okay, how I came to make this presentation. I was following a line of clickbait on a streaming service and I got to a man discharging an assault rifle whilst in a swimming pool with a high-speed camera, and he said that occasionally you see a flash of light, and what was happening, he was firing around into the water. The round was travelling through the water, it's pushing the water out of the way, it created a cavity behind the round. When the round stopped moving, the cavity formed into a sphere, and the sphere collapsed. And you were getting a flash of light when the sphere collapsed. Okay, now, he wasn't able to show this, but there are three possible causes for that flash of light, or the statement that there was a flash of light. The first one, that it was an innocent propagation of an urban myth. The second one is at the point of collapse of the cavity, there was some conventional chemistry or physics that caused the flash of light, or there was some unconventional physics or chemistry that caused the flash of light. So if we just think about the cavity for the moment, okay, so the round goes through the water. It drags a cavity behind it. It comes to a stop. It forms a sphere, and that sphere collapses down to its central point. Okay, first things to note is the larger the cavity when it starts, the more energy it contains, more likely you are to have some kind of reaction and flash. Okay, other thing to note, it isn't actually a sphere, it's a spheroidal shape made up of the movement of the molecules, the water molecules, around the circumference. Their sideways circumferential movement defines that shape. So you start off with thousands, 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 and eventually you get down to just for forming a shape very similar, or the same, very similar to a three-sided pyramid made up of four equilateral triangles. Okay, and if we just think about what happens, if we take that molecule as being that molecule, what it will do is it will accelerate, 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 and then slow down very rapidly to a stop. Okay, and the time it takes to do that, we're going to call Ti for the time of impact. Now, if those four come together well, or approaching ideally, Ti is going to approach zero. That means that you're going to get very large forces and pressures at that impact point. Okay, and what could happen is that because of those large forces and pressures, in terms of conventional physics, you might get an electron thrown into a higher orbit, and then when that orbit collapses, you get the energy released as a flash of light. You may also get some kind of chemical reaction where, let's say, you've got two water molecules, they become a hydrogen peroxide molecule, and an O2, and then the hydrogen peroxide molecule decays to give you a H2O plus an O plus a H2, that should be H2, sorry, and then they combine to go back to your original two H2Os again. Okay. Every time you get a change down, you can get a liberation of energy, and you can get the flash of light. Okay, so there's two ways conventional chemistry can work. Okay, for unconventional chemistry, I said Ti, time of impact, approaches zero. If they come together really, really well, zero can approach TQ, where Q is a quanta of time. Once you start talking about quantas of time, things that shouldn't really happen can happen. So instead of, and other thing with hydrogen, you've got a proton being orbited by one electron. Okay, hydrogen comes in various flavors, for want of a better term. So you could have a heavy hydrogen where you've got one or more neutrons attached to it. Okay, and what I'm proposing is that you have the potential for the H2O to break down, and you end up with a helium and an oxygen molecule. Converting the two hydrogens to a helium, especially where it's heavy water, you get a release of energy, and that is the cause of the flash. There we go. So the proposal is that we are getting cold fusion if that flash does exist. Okay, hope you enjoyed that and give it some thought.